Netflix today, as of recording, not as of transmission, have released a load of Studio Ghibli movies, and they're releasing a list every month of them.
How many months are they doing this for? How many Studio Ghibli movies are there?
They're releasing 21. There are a bit more than that, but a lot of them aren't actually Ghibli. It's like collaborations, and
Right.
there's the ones that are old.
Is Studio Ghibli still producing films? Because I thought they shut after the main guy retired.
Yeah, they've stopped many times. But this one is by this guy, and it's someone else and something, and then I don't even know. It's just more Studio Ghibli. The Red Turtle doesn't seem to be on the list, and I haven't seen that. And there's one since then which I hadn't even heard of, which I haven't seen either, obviously. So the stuff I haven't seen, so that's very cool. But I have seen most of them. I think they're awesome. Okay, if you like Disney films, then you should watch Studio Ghibli films instead. They're better. And if you don't like Disney films, but the sort of rhetoric you read about Disney films was true, if that was true, then you need to watch Studio Ghibli, because that's what it is basically. Is full on escapism, amazing worlds, fantasy, and it appeals to everyone. It has enough emotional depth to appeal to everyone in exactly the way that Disney doesn't, and is supposed to.
I have to admit, sometimes I watch it and I think that's a bit surreal. That is a bit too surreal.
What is happening? Oh my
In a
God.
slightly dark way. Is it Spirited Away?
The parents turn into pigs. That's
Yeah,
the best
things
bit.
like that. And then there's that creature that ate everything and got bigger and bigger and bigger.
No face.
Really weird.
Weird is good. We like weird. I mean,
I'm quite good with weird normally, but it's sort of like disconcertingly weird.
well, I mean, Spirited Away. It's a bathhouse of ghosts, but a bathhouse is a brothel. It's a brothel.
Oh.
She has to work in a brothel. That's what it is.
That was like the big one, wasn't it? Spirited Away. It's sort of
That's when they really went mega global.
yeah. People sort of said, "Whoa." It became mainstream almost.
Yeah, I just saw a review. I'd never heard of them, and saw a review in the paper, and was like, "Wow, what's this?" And got to see it at the cinema. But I think Totoro, My Neighbor Totoro, which some people will call Totoro if you listen to the translation. But it is Totoro, obviously.
Yeah. So, do you watch it dubbed or do you watch it with subtitles?
Depends if the kids are watching.
Ah.
I like. Obviously, it's much better because they're better at voice acting. Sometimes the voice acting is fine. Sometimes the voice acting is cheesy in English. I think it's something to do with language. Why the Japanese are better at voice acting than us. I think that's what it is, because it's just better. Even though you're reading it and listening to the.
I don't know if it's the better at voice. I mean, I notice with any foreign film, it is always better with subtitles because the words are being expressed in their native language.
Oh, you mean like live stuff that's been dubbed? Is that what you mean?
Well, no, films. So, yeah.
Oh,
so if you put like Rafifi and you put a dub version on it,
Hello,
that's going to be nowhere near as good as watching Rafifi with subtitles.
Unless it's a kung fu movie, sure it's better if it's been dubbed in English, isn't it? That's funny.
Actually, that's pretty funny, yeah.
And Indian films as well.
Yeah.
Hello, I will fight you now.
Watched Enter the Dragon last weekend, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, pretty cool. Boards don't hit back.
So what Studio Ghibli movies have you seen?
I can't remember now. Spirited Away, obviously. Howl's Moving Castle, I'm pretty sure. What's the one with the animals in the wood?
Pompoko.
Yeah.
The raccoons with testicles.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that's Pompoko. Yeah, that's a bit good because there's a little bit of darkness to it in that they murder people.
Yeah.
But it's basically, I mean, we had, I think, the raccoons that we watched as kids, which is not as good as you remember it was as kids, is actually influenced by Pompoko, I think, or all the Japanese traditional fantasy monsters, whatever they are. Is it the raccoon? Just the raccoons, isn't it?
Cyril Sneer.
Yeah.
I can't remember the other ones. I'm sure I've watched more than that.
What is it? There's Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind. Valley of the Wind.
Yeah, what's the one where the person is really a dragon or something like that?
Oh, that's Spirited Away.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, when he's under the massive granny with the massive head.
Yeah,
He's
weird,
under her
man.
spell as his assistant, her assistant or something, and then he's freed something. Oh, he's the spirit of the river.
That's
what
it,
is.
yeah.
And there's Laputa, Castle in the Sky.
What happens
That's
in
a
that?
good one. There's a castle in the sky,
Right.
and there's robots. It's like a Atlantean ancient civilization that's been left, and their world is hidden from the rest of the world because of destruction and pollution, something, that kind of stuff. There is Totoro. There is Kiki's Delivery Service, which is much more girly. That's the witch girl delivering things. That's it.
I've not really seen that one.
But I mean, then you've got Whisper of the Heart, where a girl goes to school, and then she sees a cat in a shop, like a stuffed cat, and she has this dream about this. And they're running down the hill and in this magical fantasy world with this cat. And then she wakes up. It's about a minute long. Then she goes back to school for the rest of the film, and nothing happens. I don't understand why. And you've got Porco Rosso. That's the pig who's a World War II pilot, or World War One pilot. And Princess Mononoke. That is amazing.
I think I've seen Princess Mononoke.
That's a bit more grown up, so that would not be for kids, but is amazing. That's all spiritual Japanese stuff with the little creatures. I can't remember what they're called, ghosty things.
You know this pig who's a pilot in the war?
Yeah.
Is it the Second World War?
I think it's First World War. I've got a feeling it's dual wing. What do you call them? I don't know what they're called. Planes.
Well, actually, it's got to be. Did they have airplanes in the First World War?
Yeah. But what do you call them? What do you call them? And they it was all very. They'd have a machine gun attached to the plane, wouldn't they? It was it's very, very early days of planes. There you go. That's Porco Rosso. Oh, okay. No, it was World War II.
Oh, that looks like Baloo's plane.
The music's brilliant.
So he's not a Japanese
No,
fighter pilot.
no, it's French.
That's what I was getting at.
That's strange. So that's an interesting one. There's a much more recent one called The Wind Rises, that's set in Japan. It's quite slow moving, but I really like it. It's you've got an earthquake, Japanese earthquake in Japan, and stuff happening with that, and that's really, really good. Really, the visual. It's all about the visuals. The way it looks fantastic. And there's also it is in the war. I think during the war. I think during World War II. And this guy is a plane designer, I think. And he makes paper planes and all that kind of stuff. And then he marries his wife, and then his wife's ill for the rest of the film. And then it ends. The film just ends.
Isn't there a slight worry that this is sort of like a gateway thing to anime? And,
Yes, it is.
You're at Sokodoji and penises attacking people and
Yeah, it is. It turns out, I've discovered, because that's the kind of thing me older kids watch.
really.
They love anime. Yeah, well, they're old enough now. I mean, a lot of it is much like Studio Ghibli, but boring. Voltron. It's not that different to the crap we would have watched when we were kids. Transformers. Nothing's as good as He-Man, though. He-Man, I have the power. So yes, Studio Ghibli, yes, it's good. Ponyo. There's some fantastic visuals early on in that film, and underwater and stuff. It's really cool. It's kind of a Japanese The Little Mermaid, I suppose. And there's another sort of. Oh, When Marnie Was There, that's very girly. If you have young girls, anything up to sort of 16 at least, I would think, will really like that one. But I don't know whether you would normally watch that. Maybe you would when you're younger. Maybe, I don't know. It's girly. Whereas we want murderous raccoons with testicles. That's awesome.
Basically.
Yeah.
There seems to be a lot of buzz going around about this new Dune movie.
I know. I wish it was a TV series, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because it's like Lord of the Rings. It's not going to fit in a film.
It's two. They're doing two films, aren't they?
Well, they'll have to
It's
at least.
split over
won't
two.
they?
Yeah. Are you excited for it, Kev?
No,
No.
because I'm just cynical now about everything, particularly if it's a film, not a TV series. We know what that means. It's going to have lens flare and stuff that will happen is nonsense.
Well, I mean, the first film was nonsense, wasn't it?
Okay, yeah, Dune is nonsense, but that's not the point.
Did you like the first film?
I like it, yeah.
I liked it as well. But I should imagine if you've read any of the Dune books, you would hate it.
I think
It's one of those, isn't it?
Yeah. It's been. You can tell it's been squashed and is a bit random to get it into one massive
I
film.
love it how they just give up on telling the story at one point. They're sort of like, well, okay, Paul became really powerful and his love for Shani grew stronger. And
Yeah.
And then he drank some spice in front of the worms, and now he's the Kwisatz Haderach.
And now some action. Go. The new movie will just be the action, and they won't explain what's happening. It's just stuff happening. Camera spinning around.
I think it's got some quite good actors in there. Stellan Skarsgård's playing the Baron Harkonnen.
Goodness me.
Apparently, I know there's going to be people out there who read this who are going to go, "Fuck, you guys don't know anything." But apparently, he's a much more subtle character in the books. He's much more manipulative and stuff like that. Proper baddie.
I mean, it's supposed to be really good. The Dune books are supposed to be good. Frank Herbert is supposed to be a bit of an Herbert, apparently, in real life. He's an idiot. But it's supposed to be brilliant, isn't it? It really is, the whole series.
So I'm looking forward to it. Simply, it means I might not have to read the Dune books. They look very big and very long, and very many of them.
Why don't they just film the books and then they get more movies? I mean, surely that's the way now, isn't it? They just need more. More.
It's like the Alan Moore thing, isn't it? It's the different types of the different formats for telling a story, and his big thing is you cannot tell a comic book story in a movie.
Yeah, and the only way to do it, I mean, I really like the Watchmen movie. I know what's wrong with it, but I really like it because they just filmed
The
comic
story,
book,
yeah,
rather than trying to turn it into a film. Because it was unfilmable. Yeah. Well, Terry Gilliam gave up, didn't he? He abandoned it. He did look at it.
I think he wanted to do it as a TV series, but I don't think he got the blessing of Alan Moore, so he
decided that's a bad idea.
He decided, he didn't want to do it.
Yeah, and it should have been a TV series. I haven't seen the new TV series at all, but apparently it's not Watchmen at all. It's just some different thing with Rorschach or something. Different Rorschachs. Lots of Rorschachs. It's just nothing to do with it at all. I just called it Watchmen.
Rorschach goes to the chemist to buy some Strepsils.
Yeah. I need some. I have a very bad sore throat. In my journal. Only Yesterday as well is the other one. That's actually really good, but don't expect an action film. It's something that you wouldn't animate. That, you know, if it was a British movie or US movie, it wouldn't be animated. It would be live action. It's someone remembering their past and things. It's really good, but it's a format we're not used to. You know.
I'll tell you what's interesting. Did you watch Tintin when it came out?
Yes. What happened to that? That was going to be a series. I
think it was going to be, but I don't think it got a very good reception. And I have to admit, when I watched it at the cinema, I came out disappointed, thinking,
it such a big thing about it.
Yeah, it didn't work for some reason. But actually, we watched it. I watched it with Sarah a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, actually, this wasn't as bad as the first time I watched it. Oh. It gets a little bit, because Spielberg's involved, isn't it? It turns into a bit of a Spielberg.
Very
Spielberg. Set scene. And there's with a little bit of storytelling in between. In a brief conversation, it probably needed a bit more storytelling, but actually it was all right.
I mean, I didn't think it was terrible. It was just Tintin. I mean, how good is Tintin going to be? I don't know.
Tintin could be amazing because it's it
deals with Adventures of Tintin.
Yeah, it's sort of like Indiana Jones type stuff, isn't it?
That's true. Yeah, and
it makes complete sense for a Spielberg.
I can't even remember it. It was animated, but kind of half live or something, wasn't it? Some sort of weird graphic effect or something.
No, I think it was completely animated.
Was completely? I can't remember.
Yeah, they had some very cool people involved with it.
Yeah, and big, loads of big names involved. So they must all be Tintin fans. So is Tintin a book for a cartoon, a comic?
Comic. I think.
Right. Yeah. So it was like high-end animation.
Yeah, I think that may have been the problem, actually.
Yeah, it was at the point where that was a good thing. Making it a cartoon that looks as real as possible.
Yeah.
Use the maximum technology, whereas actually it's just the weird uncanny valley, weird monster faces. Yeah. It'd be better if it would just look like Tintin.
Yeah.
Or Real Pim. Again, movie chat.